Buying a home is more than likely going to be your biggest financial asset of your entire life. But in order to call this a true asset, you need to set yourself up for the best position possible when it comes time to sell. In this video, I'm going to go over 5 home features that you should just never buy, absolutely stay away from, if you want to sell your home for the highest amount possible. If you end up finding this video helpful or useful, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps me out a ton. And if you've personally had any experience owning any type of these homes, good or bad, leave them in the comments below because I'd love to hear your personal experiences. So these are in no particular order, but I'm going to start with arguably the most concerning feature for me, and that's if your house is in a floodplain. So the biggest reason why buying a home that is in a floodplain is a big concern for me is that more than likely if your home is in a floodplain, you have been deemed as a high risk for a flood. Oftentimes, if your home sits in a floodplain, homeowners insurance companies will require you to carry a flood insurance policy, which is an additional policy on top of your already homeowner's insurance policy. There's no denying that floods are one of the most devastating natural disasters that we encounter. Now, of course, a flood can happen almost anywhere, but there are some aspects to look out for if you want to avoid the possibility of having your home in a floodplain. Now, this would be homes that are located in a low-lying area or homes that are located on a body of water, such as a river or a creek. So FEMA has actually designated areas that are quoted high-risk areas for floods, and this is what's known as the floodplain. If you're required to carry flood insurance and it's not an option for you, that is just going to be a hindrance when it comes to sell because flood insurance policies can get quite expensive. Now, the cost on these policies will vary across the field, but there's no denying that your insurance is going to be higher than someone who does not have to carry the flood insurance. And with traditional homeowner insurance already rising almost 40% over the recent years, the last thing you want to worry about is carrying yet another additional insurance policy on your home. So not only is your cost of home ownership when you're actually owning the home going to be more expensive than if you didn't own in a floodplain, but when you go to sell, buyers are going to take into this consideration of being in a floodplain because it's an added cost that they have to worry about. So if this home that is in a floodplain is not your dream home and you don't plan on living here for a while, do not buy a home in a floodplain. Now, the next type of home that you shouldn't buy, I actually think is a good idea for some people in certain instances, but therein lies the problem. A half duplex can be a great option, but oftentimes it's just not ideal for everybody. Now, what is exactly a half duplex? A half duplex is where there are 2 pieces of property connected by a shared wall, and from the outside, it looks like your normal duplex scenario. One owner owns one side of the duplex, and then an entirely different owner owns their other side of the duplex. You may also hear these referred to as zero lot line homes, shared wall homes. Now, there is certainly a need for these half duplexes out there. They are often cheaper, they're easier to maintain, and you can often get way more bang for your buck. And if you are an investor, I think they are a great option because, like I said, they are cheaper, so you can usually cash flow on them a little bit easier, and you can still charge rents as if they were like a normal duplex. But if you are looking to buy your first home, I do not think they are great options. Now, like I said, they can be a cheaper option. So if you're someone that really craves like the new construction feel, but you can't afford the standalone new construction and you really want that, maybe you can get by with a half duplex. But just think about when you go to sell, because you've grown out of that home, you are now limiting your buyer pool to people who are fine being connected to your neighbor. Oftentimes that's going to limit your buyer pool to people who are downsizing or those first-time home buyers. But for example, let's just use first-time home buyers. Most of these first-time home buyers are more than likely going to be living near someone already, maybe even in a duplex scenario themselves. Usually people that are renting in these spaces are saving up money to improve their situation, and oftentimes what I see is people that start off renting and are going to be buying soon, they don't want to be still connected to someone. They want to actually own something that feels like theirs and it doesn't feel like they're still renting. Another thing about a shared wall scenario is that you're more than likely going to have to coordinate with your other owner who shares that wall with you on things to fix, such as the roof and the siding. You can't really have one half of the duplex have wood siding that's a different color, and then have your other neighbor choose vinyl siding that's a totally different color. That's just gonna throw off the whole look and feel of the neighborhood and the house itself. Now, the benefit of this would be, yes, your siding cost is gonna be much cheaper than if you own the entire house itself, but you have to still coordinate with someone that you probably don't know very well, And who knows exactly when they want to do it, where your financial situation is going to be at, where their financial situation is going to be at. So there's going to be a lot of coordinating that comes involved with this. So for those reasons, I would suggest not owning a half duplex if your goal is to sell sometime in the near future. The next one refers to homes that are specifically in Wisconsin and other parts of the country, but if the home does not have a basement, don't buy it. You may be coming from an area where basements do not exist. You've never even seen a basement, but let me tell you, in Wisconsin, majority of the homes are going to have a basement, and the majority of the buyers are going to want to have some sort of basement. Now, there are some homes in Wisconsin, for instance, if you live near a body of water, the water table may be too high where you don't even have the ability to put in a basement. And in that case, most homes will just be on a slab or a partial basement anyway. But if you're not buying a home that is special, like on the lake, or has a huge 4-car, 5-car garage outbuilding or multiple outbuildings, do yourself a favor and get a home with a basement. Basements in Wisconsin are important for a wide variety of reasons. The biggest thing is that they provide the homeowner with a great amount of storage space if they don't have like large outbuildings or a large garage. And although tornadoes are not super common in Wisconsin, we do get them occasionally, and the best way to protect yourself from a tornado is to actually be in the basement with no windows. So if the rare tornado actually does end up happening, you're going to be so thankful that you bought a house that has a basement. And basements in newer homes actually provide the homeowner with the ability to add on usable and livable square footage in that basement or lower level. And it's a much cheaper option than actually having to extend onto the exterior of your home, because you don't have to worry about the roof, the siding, or windows when you're finishing off basement square footage. So I would say, unless the home is truly a special home, don't buy a home that does not have a basement. Now, this next one is actually one that I don't think is the end of the world, but I did decide to throw it on here because it does oftentimes limit your buyer pool. And that would be buying a home that has no yard space. Many buyers here in Wisconsin really value their yard space, whether that's for entertaining or playing outside with the kids or having space for their dog. A large yard will allow the buyer to get creative with ways to add value, whether that's adding storage sheds to increase the storage of the home or tastefully landscaping a barbecue entertaining area. Now, the argument to actually buying a home with little to no yard is that the smaller the amount of yard you have, the less you have to mow and maintain. And there certainly may be buyers out there that are actually looking and preferring for this, but I would say the majority of buyers that I come across do want at least a little bit of a yard for that usability aspect. And we're gonna end this video with the 5th and final consideration to consider before buying your home. If you are looking at a home and you notice that the home backs up to a railroad track, don't buy the home. Now, sure, you can try and verify if that railroad is still even in use, or what type of trains come through, or how often they come through. But the visualization of a railroad track in your backyard is a big deterrent for buyers. If the railroad is busy, buyers will definitely be hearing these trains come through. And in worst case scenarios, if they are pretty close to that railroad, the house will actually shake. And if the buyer has little kids or pets, they actually may view this railroad track as a big safety concern as well. And personally, I think if you see railroad tracks in your backyard, I just think it's a little bit of an eyesore, and I think other buyers would agree with that. These are all considerations that I've heard directly from buyers as I'm showing these homes that back up to the railroad track. So those are 5 types of homes that you should never buy. In reality, a home purchase, whatever it is typically a good and smart investment. So if there is a home out there that you truly love and has maybe 1 or 2 of these features that I mentioned, don't let that stop you from purchasing it. Just understand the risks that may come with it if you do decide to sell in the future. If you enjoyed, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel for more videos on real estate and what it's like living in Wisconsin in general. And if there are any videos you guys want to see me make, let me know in the comments below. I welcome all suggestions. Until next time, see you guys in the next video.